welcome to the second in our brand new series of Truth Box, and sitting with me in a lovely warm house on a very warm day, I have to say, in the middle of August here in, the Somerset Levels, actually, just outside of Glastonbury, is Sharon White-Elk Woman. Sharon, welcome back.
Hi, lovely to be back with you, Ross.
It doesn't seem like 5 minutes ago that you and I were sitting talking in a service area down near Podmore.
I think that was back in May, and you're right, it only does seem like about 5 minutes ago.
It does. But I want to go through a whole series of things with you because there's been so much developed in recent weeks. And I want to start again with 2012. We've spoken about this before. But now there's a Glastonbury support group for people who actually believe the world is going to end. There seems to be mass panic around the world about the interpretation of the film 2012. And people are actually writing to the newspapers now saying, what is the real truth? Is the world going to end? Can we put some people's minds at rest, do you think?
Well, as usual, you throw something new at me because I'm very out of touch where you're really in touch. But as I said to you before, I mean, my belief is that the world isn't going to end, but it is going to be energetically very different. So I feel that people that are currently awakening and have been awakening for some time are going to be living in a slightly different awareness and energetic reality. Personally, as I say to you always with my rose-coloured glasses on, I feel that the tipping point has shifted enough in the balance that Mother Earth is not going to disappear. So I certainly don't go with all the theories of, you know, the world is literally going to end and we're going to come to some kind of catastrophic implosion, explosion or whatever. I just feel that there's going to be two different realities that people are living in. So those that are awakened are going to be living in bliss, love, peace. We're still going to be here in human form, but probably more living in communities and living off the land, and maybe going back a bit kind of full circle to how we started. And those that aren't choosing to fully awaken in this lifetime, I think pretty much they're going to be living what I call, in inverted commas, soap opera lifestyle. So, you know, they are still going to have trouble and strife in their life. But I don't believe for 1 minute that the world's going to end. But if I'm wrong, hey, you know, just go.
We won't know a lot about it.
Go with the flow, be with love, and it'll be very simple and easy. It's, you know, I don't think there doesn't have to be any trauma. There doesn't have to be any fear. If you choose to live in fear and trauma, that's up to you, but certainly not where I'm coming from.
Well, I spoke to a guest last week, Nancy Burson from America, while she was over here in England, and she made the point that everything's cyclic. You know, we're going around in cycles, and 2012 is just the end of another cycle. But she also said that we have the ability to change our own scripts. She said if you look to the God figure, whatever the God figure is, whether it's a numerate number of people, whether it's a single figure, you can actually ask for your own script to be changed if you're not happy with the way it's going. What do you make of a statement like that?
Yeah, I would say that's fairly true. I mean, my belief is that we have got soul contracts. So before we came down in this earthly lifetime, we've written certain things out that we've said, well, we need to experience this, we're going to go there, we're going to do this. But I believe that there are crossroads that we come to, and ultimately those experiences are all still going to happen, but maybe the journeys are slightly different on the way. And so we definitely are creating our own reality. And as I just said to you, I mean, my reality at the moment is pretty cool, thank you very much, you know, full of love and peace and bliss. But that's only because I changed the script that I was originally writing for myself. But I'm still having the experiences that I was meant to have. But I've got out of that kind of fear and negativity, and, you know, pretty much in love and peace. And I do believe that is because of the mindset that I've had and intentions and thoughts that I've put out to universe, God, angels, crystal skull consciousness, whatever you want to class your, you know, as you say, your figure, your Godhead. So yeah, I don't think that's too sweeping a statement. I think that's quite true. I think you do create your own reality, and, you know, you have choices.
Do you think there's a karma to be paid, and when we come back onto the earth, if reincarnation exists, that we're actually living karma for a past life?
Oh dear. Now, here's a tricky one, because if you'd asked me that 2 or 3 years ago, I would have said yes. Now I'm not so sure, because what was past lives to me, are now other lifetimes. So I generally don't see time as a timeline anymore. I see it more as a kind of a spider's web, as a landscape. So it's a tricky one. I think there are still people paying, I don't know if it's paying karma, but maybe reenacting things because they haven't learnt from certain experiences in the past. Those of us that are evolving and choosing to clear our baggage, if you like, as we go along. Oh, don't you hate it when that happens? They do this to me all the time, don't they? You know, you're just getting this information and they pop in with something else and completely cut you off. So, yeah, I think to answer your question, there probably are still people on their path as they're, you know, working up through the clearing and evolutionary process that maybe are paying's not the right word, but experiencing certain karmic cycles or having to kind of pay certain karmic debts. But I believe again that there is a turning point in one's evolutionary process where actually that maybe isn't necessarily or doesn't necessarily need to be the reality anymore. So you certainly go through experiences and maybe there's still limiting beliefs and things like that to clear. But I suppose it depends what dimension you're in.